Sister Krampus, starring Rebecca Reinhardt. She was in Fried Vision, directed by the Polonia brothers, and a lot of the Polonia pals make their presence in the film. We follow a direct go back to the end of World War II, where these soldiers have just completed the war, and there is a convent of nuns that are nearby, and something dastardly happens with one of the nuns. She gets thrown out of the convent, and the soldiers decide to do their due diligence and take advantage of this nun that was accused of doing wrong by her convent. And at this point, these soldiers are doing really bad, and then they have to basically suffer for it later on, as this nun who has been thrown out of the convent. I don't know why I keep getting those screwed up. She basically has to get back on her feet, and then things start to happen. And then let's just say she comes back later on, many moons later on, as we have these two girls that are traveling to Europe to do some traveling and some investigating and checking out some areas, when they come upon this town with some weird things going on. People doing some weird things. So they stop at this restaurant to get some soup and some beer. And meanwhile, they are approached before they get there by this nun, who appears to be a figment of their imagination. And once they arrive at this place to get some food and some beer, they're approached by a lady who's trying to warn them of all the things that are going on in the area. Says, you can stay here, but be careful. Don't be so lenient to everybody on the outside. You might want to stay clear. And then things start to happen. As they start to be approached by this nun, they're being basically headhunted by this nun. And that's basically the premise of the film. Now, as far as that goes, you see a lot of stock footage, which I believe to be is actual footage from a Krampus gathering. There's a lot of stock footage in this film, which was okay for this purpose. Some of the effects were silly. Some of the CGI was ridiculous, but on the other hand, some of the practical effects were okay. More lines of silly, but okay. So once the nun starts to put her grasp into the sisters, they've got to find a way to fight back with their friends they have met in the village who try to help them as well. And that's the basic premise of the film. Now, this one is another one that kind of gets a lot of hate on IMDb, but it's actually better than some of the films I've seen in the Wild Eye genre. I'm not going to hold back. It's not too bad. It's also better than some of the Krampus films that I've seen. So I've seen some really bad Krampus films. I did like the direction of the Krampus in the film and the costume. Overall, I'm going to give this one again a 3.5 out of 5 on the Boglin scale. Could have been worse. Could have been better. Let me know your guys' thoughts on Sister Krampus. This is Hobbs. Have a good Thursday.